Hello, I am Beth Schaefer, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here with the two candidates running for the special election for the City of Dayton Commission. This election will be on May 8th. The candidates are Darrell Fairchild and Darrell Ward. They will begin by asking them to tell us a little bit about themselves and why they want to serve as city commissioners and what they see their role as a city commissioner to be. And I'm going to start with Darrell Fairchild.
All right. I'm Darrell Fairchild, and I'm running for Dayton City Commission because I know Dayton has some incredible assets, some great opportunities, but we also have some serious challenges. Too many of our residents have a median income in their household that's lower than the average for the whole area. We have schools that aren't providing quality education, and our residential neighborhoods, well, you know, you've driven the streets and you know that they need work. I've been a lifelong Daytonian. I lived my life growing up here. I experienced life on the color line. Forced busing began when I was in 5th grade. And so not only did I attend Belmont Elementary School, which was literally in my backyard, but I also attended Residence Park Elementary, Dunbar High School, and graduated from Belmont High School. And not only was I on the color line, but also the economic line. My family lived in Belmont, but was right up against Oakwood and Kettering and Beaver Creek. My family was fortunate. We always had everything we needed and even a little bit of what we wanted. I had friends who lived in the suburbs, had everything they wanted, and then some even had more than that. But I was also in class and on the field with teammates and classmates who didn't have everything they needed. And so that experience opened my eyes. I've been listening to my teammates, my classmates, the customers on my paper route when I was 9.5 years old. So I've been listening to people in Dayton for a really long time. And I know that we can do better. I know that we can create the Dayton where people are attracted because our neighborhoods are strong, our schools are good, and we have good paying jobs. But to do that, we have to have a clear plan. I have the Fairchild Blueprint for our future. You can find that on my webpage, fairchildfordayton.com, fairchildfordayton.com. I'm also a father, a husband, and I'm really looking forward to the weather breaking so that I can get back out on my hand cycle and get prepared for my 10th United States Air Force Marathon.
Okay, Darrell Ward, you have an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Darrell Ward. I been in Dayton for like 40 years. I came as an administrator at United Theological Seminary, and then an opportunity came available for me to pastor a small church. We had about 50 people. And I took that chance. I did both for a while, and then it became clear that I should pastor full time. And so for the last, 25 years or so, I've been the full-time pastor of Omega Baptist Church. And my legacy has been creativity, and also I have a peculiar listening skill, but it's not just listening, sit back and do nothing. It's active listening. I listen in order to hear, and I hear in order to do. We've done things at the church like, as I look back and you ask, okay, so why do you want to be a city commissioner? Well, one thing is because God has provided the opportunity. My son is now pastor-elect, and I'm part-time. I keep telling people that. I'm part-time senior pastor in transition, and that gives me the opportunity to be city commissioner. And as I look at city commission, I see three things that I think are important: jobs, education, and neighborhoods. No, it's education, jobs, and then neighborhoods. Education first, because education has made such a difference in my life. And I look forward to talking more about that.
Okay, Darrell Ward, what do you see as the biggest challenge the city is facing and what can be done about it?
I think education is an important challenge. I think that we have to educate our citizens and provide opportunities for not just in school, but out of school education. At Omega, one of the things we've done a lot of just things, whether it's community-wide sleepovers at the church or whether through our Community Development Corporation. We had the Omega School of Excellence, which provided jobs and opportunities and provided really relevant education. We had extended day programs because kids need to be in school longer, they need to work harder. I could go on, but I think education is key because education connects to jobs because we need jobs. And jobs connects to neighborhoods because you have to have the wealth for the single families to build a neighborhood and then for the neighborhoods to build a city. And so I'll stop there.
All right, Darrell Fairchild.
Yeah.
What
So
do you,
go.
I was going to say, what do you see as the biggest challenge the city is facing and what can be done about it?
Sure. Well, I think there are two big challenges that face the city. The first is safety. A majority of our neighborhoods don't feel safe in their own neighborhoods at night. And so we got to do something about that, and that hinges on bringing back a clear plan, comprehensive plan about how we're going to revitalize our neighborhoods. But that's not the only concern in the safety. Our protection of our water is a safety concern, and that's been back in the news, that there are places of new contamination that are hitting the monitoring wells. Several years ago, the city changed how they protect our water plan. I was a vocal opponent to the way they changed that plan, and I think it's time that we revisit that plan. In addition to the issues around safety and revitalizing our neighborhoods, the other issue is our budget. In 2016, we passed a levy to increase our income taxes and to provide additional funding for the city. It was surprising to me that a year later, there was a report out from the city saying that we were having financial difficulties in our budget and that there are still structural problems within the budget. I find that troubling. It seems to me that we should have been working looking at the whole budget when we were approaching that levy and making sure that we were in a sound fiscal position before we went to our residents and asked them for new dollars. And so I think that it's time that we get our financial house in order so that we will be in the position to take advantage of every opportunity and to face every challenge that we have.
Okay, Darrell Fairchild, how concerned are you about the threatened contamination of water? I think you've answered that, but what do you think the city should be doing about it?
Sure. Well, as I said, back in 2015 when they changed the way that we protected the water, I was very concerned then, and I continue to be concerned. Dayton was a leader in how to protect drinking water. And that stemmed from our experience with the fire in 1987 at the Sherwin-Williams plant. And then there was great concern that that fire was literally right over the aquifer and that the paints could have gotten into the drinking water, into the wells. At that time, they set up a plan that would prevent adding new hazardous material on top of the aquifer and incentives to reduce it. And the City Commission reversed that strategy. They created a pathway to add additional hazardous material on top of the aquifer, and instead of trying to prevent things, to put more monitoring wells in place to then mitigate if there are spills. Additionally, what they did was acted unilaterally. And the success of our plan hinged on having multiple jurisdictions who are a part of the aquifer working together. We need to revisit that plan. We need to go back to the original strategy, which was to prevent and reduce rather than to increase and mitigate. And we need to work with our surrounding jurisdictions who have an equal part to play, but also are exposed to any hazards that might hit our drinking water.
Okay, Darrell Ward, how concerned are you about the contamination of water, and what do you think the city should be doing about it?
I think that the city should work together. We have neighborhoods, we have communities, we have a diverse population, and we need to work together. Democrats, Republicans, whatever. We need to work together because a contamination of water affects everyone. And we need to get serious about that. Now, working together is a complicated thing. I've been on a lot of boards and I've done a lot of work in this community, and I know that you have different personalities, you have this, you have that, and you got to make, all of that comes into play. But what we have to do is focus on the problem. And the problem is the contamination of water. The problem is the future of our children. The problem is our own future. And we have to work together to do that. And I care about the community. And I think that we can work together. But we need leadership that really focuses on bringing people together. And that's a complicated thing. And it takes time. And I'll just say this, that nothing I've ever done in my life that happened like that was worth a quarter. But everything that's significant in my life, it took time, it took meetings, it took cooperation, collaboration. But when it sticks, it sticks.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you to start off the answer for this next question. Downtown Dayton is experiencing a real boom while some other parts of the city are struggling. What are your ideas to help those neighborhoods?
I think that downtown Dayton is experiencing a boom because we've concentrated on it. And I think that the kind of concentration that they're putting on downtown Dayton, we need to put on other areas in our communities. We need to have, I live downtown now, and luckily I bought 4 years ago, right before the big boom. And there's safety, there's safety there. There's cleanliness there. We have people in uniform walking around picking up trash and all of that stuff. Well, if it works there, it works in the rest of our communities, whether you're east, west, north, or south. And we have to concentrate on those things. And we also have to concentrate development dollars. We've concentrated development dollars downtown. Why can't we do it in other parts of our community?
Okay. Darrell Fairchild, what do you think? The downtown has experienced that boom in major parts of the downtown city, but other areas are struggling. What are your ideas to help those neighborhoods?
Yeah. Well, voters will be familiar that I've run a couple times before, and this has been my primary issue. And we need to balance our development downtown with our development in the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons that downtown Dayton has done well is that they've had champions and they've had a plan. If you look in Dayton, anything that's done well and has been successful, whether it's the Fifth Field or downtown, has had a plan and a champion. So we need a comprehensive plan. The last time the city had a strategic plan for the whole city, they began that plan in the late 1990s and adopted it in 1999. It's called the 2020 Vision Plan. That plan expires in 2 years. And the city, it's almost negligent that they haven't updated that plan for the whole city. In 2010, they added the Greater Downtown Dayton Plan, and now we're seeing the fruits of that planning. So we need to have that similar kind of plan that looks at the totality of our city, each of the residential neighborhoods, and develops a strategic plan so we know how to identify the resources we need, set priorities, and bring the right partners around. Those are all the things they've done with downtown. It's been successful. But we need to be candid. There's going to be trade-offs, and that In the midst of this, there's going to be real serious debate about how you balance out the priorities between downtown and the residential neighborhoods. Right now, without a plan, the residential neighborhoods are disadvantaged because when it comes to budget priorities, the next 3 or 4 or 5 things that need to be done in the neighborhoods aren't identified. In the midst of this plan, we need to identify the costs that we are paying to maintain the blight. It's not inexpensive to maintain the blight that we have. And additionally, we need to set up, we need to reestablish citizen participation. We dismantled that with the priority boards and haven't replicated. So we need to get back to clear citizen participation and set up a cycle of periodic review for our plans for the neighborhoods.
Okay. Now, the next series of questions may not necessarily apply to the office you are seeking, but is simply another way to help voters get to know who you are and how you think. You are to respond to each question with only one word, yes or no. Remember that you will have the opportunity in your closing statement to address any issue that you need to clarify or elaborate on. And so I think we'll start with you, Darrell Fairchild. Do you favor serious campaign reform? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ward, do you favor serious campaign finance reform?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ward, do you believe that climate change is a serious issue that must be addressed aggressively?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Fairchild?
Yes.
Okay. Do you, this is for you, Mr. Fairchild, do you believe that the voter registration process should be simplified?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Ward, do you believe that the voter registration process should be simplified?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Ward, do you favor a ban on assault rifles? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Fairchild, do you favor a ban on assault
Yes.
rifles? Yes or no? Okay. We would like to provide each candidate with the opportunity to make a closing statement. You'll each have 2 minutes to let the voters know what you want them to know.
Okay.
Okay, and so we'll start with Mr. Ward.
I just, I'm running for city commission because I've been pastoring a church for 30 years, and my way of pastoring has been to look at the whole city. What are the needs of the people, the citizens? I care about the citizens. I care about people. And there's an old story that goes, somebody was looking at babies floating down a river and they kept trying to fish them out. And then at some point someone said, let's go upstream a little bit and find out who's throwing them in. And that's the reason I want to run for city commission, because as a pastor, we were trying to address the results. We were trying to address whatever was thrown at us, whether it's Good Samaritan closing, we got to address that. Whether it's whatever it is, we had to address it. As a city commissioner, I have more of an opportunity. You still got to address stuff, but I have more of an opportunity to be more upstream and help figure out what's the best way to address the concerns of our community. I agree with what Darrell Fairchild is saying. It's absolutely right. But we must get in there and do that. And I've had 30 years as a pastor. I've been on almost every board in the city. I've worked hard, and I believe I can make a difference.
Okay. Mr. Fairchild, it's your opportunity to tell the voters what you want them to know about you.
All right, thank you. And I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters. I'm sure Pastor Ward would join me in thanking you. This is always an event that I look forward to when I run. It's always thoughtful questions, and I appreciate your engagement, not only in the campaign, but also in our democratic process in general. So thank you. I'm running for Dayton City Commission because I know we can have a bright future, but that bright future isn't going to come for all of our citizens unless we have the right leadership. And I believe that I come, given my experience growing up in Dayton, the work I've done to understand the issues, and also the values that I bring, that I can bring the leadership that we need that will help all of our residents have the opportunities they need to be successful, to create good paying jobs, the safe neighborhoods, and quality education that we need. Being a product of Dayton Public Schools, as well as being a parent of a child in Dayton Public Schools, gives me a unique perspective on the commission and among the candidates about how all these things work together. The schools, our neighborhoods, and good paying jobs. Likewise, I am the manager of chaplain services at Dayton Children's Hospital. So I come with empathy and compassion, not only for the families I've served there, but the ongoing social determinants that cause health issues in our community. I have a track record of accomplishments in this city, from reviving a nonprofit that addressed homelessness and addressed victims from Hurricane Katrina, to leading a church, a nonprofit organization that fought for voting rights and was part of the reason that we have early voting now. So my track record speaks for itself. I have experience and I have learned these issues. People make fun of me because sometimes they say I'm wonky, but I think being wonky is important because understanding the details of issues like the water, as well as the political process, makes me prepared to serve on day one once the special election has concluded. I ask for your vote on May 8th.
Okay, we thank you both for participating today and wish you good luck in your campaigns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The goal of the League of Women Voters is to educate the public and strengthen our elective process, and we encourage everyone to vote. On May 8th is the special election, and the voting polls should be open from 6:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night. We encourage everyone out there to voice your opinion and vote and make our democracy work. I just want to put a little plug in for the League of Women Voters. The League never supports or opposes any candidate or political party. We are nonpartisan. We are all about educating voters and encouraging their votes and participation. Finally, I would like to thank DATV for helping us bring these discussions here, and to thank them for the volunteers that they provide, the time, their expertise and equipment. And thank you all for watching, and don't forget to vote.